This video talks about biology labs, and there's basically two components to my biology labs. They're the labs themselves, and then there's the group video presentations. So that's what I'd like to discuss real quickly so that you understand. The only thing that falls outside of these two categories is an extra credit syllabus quiz that you'll find in Start Year where the video was in Blackboard. It's starting at the very beginning. So there's a short extra credit syllabus quiz to help you understand what is required of the lab. So let's look at the lab component first. For all of my classes, there's typically 10 labs. There could be 11 in like biology 1106 and 1108. There'll be 11 labs instead of 10. And in those labs, you'll be using Labster simulations. These are very professional and they're very nice, but it's at a nominal cost of $50. And I want you to think about it. $50 is probably less than what you would pay for a lab manual. Now, in biology 1107 and in 1109, we use curated labs. Those are labs that we have found and gathered, and they're at no cost. They're not as professional maybe as the Labster simulations, but some of them are pretty good. And the reason for that is because in 1107 and in 1109, some of the labs are very difficult to find. They're difficult to find the simulations, and so that's why they're from many different sources. Now, just like in the lecture class, due dates are very important, so it's very important to read your syllabus very carefully and look at the last page to see when the due dates are. So keep in mind that the course is not self-paced. So there's typically something due every Wednesday, and you have one item due every week. It's either a lab or maybe something for the group video presentation. So let's still focus on the lab. So if you're doing Labster simulations, like in biology 1106 and in 1108, you can redo the simulations as often as you like to improve your score up until the due date. Once the due date hits, that score is the one that will stay. Now for the curated labs, the ones that are gathered from multiple sources, there's usually a worksheet, or in some cases there's an HHMI, Howard Hughes Medical Institute quiz, but there's some kind of indication or evidence that you've completed the work. And then you submit the assignment in either Word, PDF, JPEG, GIF, or RTF formats. Now let's get to the second part of biology lab, which are the video presentations. So the state of Texas has mandated that in core classes that there's going to be some type of group activity. So in biology, it is a group video presentation. Now, to get you ready for that group video presentation, I'm going to start you off with an individual presentation, and it's going to be 5 minutes long, and the topic is your interest. You're going to look in your syllabus and in Blackboard for the details. And the purpose really of the individual presentation is to make a Zoom video, is to learn how to make a Zoom video, record it, and then upload it to your YouTube account so that you can send me your link in the assignment. Now, you can use a PowerPoint or not. You can just show a picture of yourself like I'm showing you a picture of me, and you may or may not use a PowerPoint. On the other hand, the group presentation is really quite different. The purpose is different. The purpose actually is to show your critical thinking, communication, and teamwork skills. And notice that the group video presentation is 12 to 15 minutes long, and it's a group effort as opposed to an individual effort. And there is in Blackboard a student guide and a rubric to help you create a PowerPoint presentation. And it's basically using the scientific method to go over a virtual lab. And oftentimes I will give you a choice of the virtual lab that you're going to do. So you have to look in Blackboard at the details to see what it is. Notice that the value of the group presentation is 200 points, or 20% of your total score, whereas the individual presentation is only worth 50 points. So to start off with the group video presentation, communicating with the group is the first step. So you're going to have to do 2 timely group discussions, and I'm going to give credit for these, and these discussions will be within Blackboard. So what is the purpose of these discussions? It's to collectively decide on a lab project, determine what kind of PowerPoint design you're going to use, agree how to communicate. You might exchange phone numbers or use different email addresses. You'll determine who's going to do what for each of the slide categories. And then you also have to work together to complete a group agreement form, which is worth 50 points. And you'll see that in your lab course. Now, guidance for this group video presentation comes in several sources. You can look at your syllabus, there's a study guide, a rubric, and the group agreement form. All of these give you guidance on how to develop your presentation. And these groups that are formed, I used an application within Blackboard for random selection. So you were all randomly put into different groups. The one thing that I do want you to know is that participation is so critically important, and not only affects your grade, but it affects the grade of everyone else in your group. So understanding what you need to do for the group presentation is really important. Now, these are some of the common questions that I get every semester about the group presentation. One is can more than one person be assigned to like a slide category? Definitely, and I encourage it. Can more than one person speak on the same slide? Of course. You know, anything that you can do to make a great presentation, the better. And should all students participate in the following categories? Well, the most important categories that reflect critical thinking skills are background, results, conclusions, and broader impacts. Every member of the group should have a word or say something in each of these categories. Please. The title, the citations, even the experiment, setting up the experiment, those are all have little to no value compared to background, results, conclusions, and broader impacts. Now, it's sort of hard to get your head around this idea of what you actually do need to do to produce a group video. So my recommendation is to actually watch a student example, and you can find this under the group video presentation folder. And I've either posted 1 or more video presentations. Are they perfect? Well, no, they're not perfect, but they're close to being perfect. They're really good, or not, I wouldn't have posted them. I think one of the most common mistakes that students make while recording it is they tend to read the slides. But you notice that my eyes are going back and forth, so you know that I'm reading the material from the slides. That when you do your presentation, I want you to look directly into the camera like I'm doing right now, to pretend that you're not reading your slides, because that's how I'm going to have to evaluate you. So, how do you know about the critical dates for the submission of your group presentation? So, it's not just one submission, but there's a lot of other things that you need to do beforehand, like the individual presentation, the 2 discussions, the group agreement form, and then you finally submit your video. So, you need to check your syllabus to make sure that you have all the dates, and that's found on the last page of your syllabus. You need to submit your YouTube link. I prefer that because I don't want to load space, digital space with MP4 videos, so I prefer to have the YouTube link. And keep in mind that not everyone in your group may get the same grade. A lot of it has to do on the presentation of each individual. So one question is, does everyone need to show their face like I'm showing you my face? And the answer is yes. I need to see your face, and I would prefer a cameo view. That is a headshot with maybe the upper part of your torso. And I need to make sure that you're speaking loudly and clearly and then looking into the camera like I'm trying to do right now for you. Now, if you have any questions and you're unsure of anything after looking at the student guide, the rubric, and the student example of a video presentation, please contact me. Remember, this is 20% of your grade. It impacts you and it impacts the members in your group. So I wish you the best in lab. So let me know if there's any problems. Thank you.